So, okay, on the theme of the world's greatest meeting assistant that worked for your team and company and was just going to like, by their sheer presence, they were going to like make every meeting productive and delightful. One of the things I thought we'd do something different this time, and let's actually workshop something. We've never done this live, but let's build a meeting from scratch. And specifically what I had in mind was, I know a lot of people do staff meetings, they do team meetings. We have something we call the weekly business review. There's a bunch of things that we do in the weekly business review, but we do in other meetings as well. What we thought was, for things that are repetitive, that you want to happen every single time, and you kind of want the meeting, like you kind of want Fellow to take care of that for you, right? To go out, get the responses, get everybody to fill in their parts. How does Fellow do that for you for all the repetitive stuff? And so we built something new that we're calling sections, and we're going to show you how that works in building this weekly business review. So in order to do that, what is something that we talk about in our weekly business reviews?
I mean, we've read many books and resources on meeting best practices. And I think one best practice is to start with a quick check-in, just asking people how they're feeling.
Amazing. Like, you just come back from a weekend, you don't want to just dive into business right away. You want to, definitely check on people's moods. And so this is a really good one. So basically, like, let me show you how this works. As you know, in Fellow, there's two ways to add things. You can either type / just as this suggests, or you can click on the plus button. What I can actually do is, so if I type in /section, what happens is you get this new modal. And what you can do is, if you scroll down, you can choose a bunch of different pre-selected templates that we have. And one of them is called Moodometer. And what I can do is I can require everybody in the meeting to answer this question. And so when I save it, you'll see that I get this nice little dialogue, has a beautiful like lightning icon, kind of hinting at, hey, this is an automated sort of thing. And it knows that I'm the meeting attendee, and it even fills in what I need to fill in automatically.
It tells you who is required to add to that section, which is really cool.
100%. So, I don't see your section. I only see my section. And so I can just, obviously super happy today we're doing this launch. And so, I guess that's what you're doing on your side. So you just added your section and now yours, and it just makes it super fast and easy for everybody to add their section. And it's kind of in this automated way, like, the software is going to help everybody fill out their relevant section.
Yeah. It's like Fellow is the assistant that goes out and reminds to fill out this section of the agenda.
100%. So
another thing that we do is update each other on what are our priorities for the week, and maybe like challenges or blockers that we might be having.
100%. Like this is a very common thing, right? Like, some people do this as a stand-up, other people do it as a section as part of the meeting. This is one of those things that can actually be asynchronous as well, right? And it's really interesting the way that we do our meetings. I think a lot of people, our meetings are done really interesting because we always have like an asynchronous section, and then we always have like a synchronous section. And
discussion points. Yeah,
exactly. And so let's show everybody how that works. So I'm going to type /section again. This time I'm going to choose one of the other templates that we have. So in this particular case, maybe roundtable check-in, nuisance / check-in, priorities, blockers, or actually, I kind of like this one more, roundtable updates and wins, priorities and blockers. So again, I'm going to require everybody in the meeting to answer this. And by the way, you don't have to do that. You can also say, I just want specific users and like type who those are, but I'm going to get everybody to do it this time. And so when I add that in, that gets added, and you can see that it's basically saying, hey, Aiden, you've got to figure out, you've got to answer these questions. And so when you start typing, it's getting you to answer your sections. And it kind of does this in this automated way. And what's really nice about this is, Fellow's going to do the legwork too, right? It isn't just say, hey, here's a template and get everybody to fill it out. It knows who's in the meeting, right? And so if you change the meeting attendees, it's going to only allow those meeting attendees to fill this out. And it's going to remind you, it's built into our notification system. So if you're using Slack or you're using MS Teams, it will message you and tell you, hey, you've got this thing coming up and you've got to fill out this section, because remember, no agenda, no attenda. And so we've got to make sure everybody's doing their part and filling in the appropriate sections. And so that's another super powerful thing.
This just takes away the pressure from the meeting organizer to remind everyone, hey, can you fill out the agenda? Hey, can you please update people on what you're working on? It's just like Fellow is going out and reminding people that they are required to add talking points to a specific section.
100%. And so I guess so the other thing to point out is that we have a bunch of templates built in. So you can obviously save these as templates and get them to be reoccurring. Over the course of time, as you know, we have the world's largest meeting template library. And so one of the things I wanted to show you is like what some of the default templates might look like. So this is something for a sales huddle where every attendee is required to fill out this section and their top focus and their roadblocks as an example. Here's another one for a daily stand-up where, there's like a traffic light confidence question, and then a check-in question, and then if there are discussion questions. So this kind of gives you an idea of like the different sorts of templates that you can create. And again, it's just, you don't have to type in the people's names who are attendees. Like Fellow's just going to make it easy for everybody to answer those questions. And so I think that's super powerful.
Okay, so we have the Moodometer, we have the updates. I think another thing that we usually add, of course, is a talking point section for people to add things that they want to discuss.
Yeah, so yeah, we can definitely do that.
So can you do that as a section to remind people that they're also required to add to that
100%.
section of the meeting now?
So all of these things are turning into these blocks. And so what's really nice is now these new sections allow you to do things like there's a plus button. You'll notice there's a plus button here. When I click on the plus button, it's just like easier and faster to add these things. And of course, I mean, like you mentioned, I can also add a section, which is so all of our, the standard headings that we had before, those now exist. And so you can use those as well in this new format, and it has this plus button. But of course, you can have these kind of like smart sections that have like these default templates as well. And so again, like sections just makes it faster, easier, more automated to build these meeting agendas and get Fellow to do the legwork. So for example, the talking points, everybody's not required to answer or put anything in the talking points, right? But the updates, we actually require people to do that. And previously in Fellow, you couldn't really do that. To say, hey, everybody, we require you to do this part and this part in advance, and this other part is only if you have something to talk about. But now Fellow makes it possible for you to run these sorts of dynamic meetings. I just think it just gives you so much power.